How's it going, everyone? I'm Rene Antoine Londo again, and coming to you guys actually from my work. I got here early so I can do the video, and take care of some business. I've been reading the Bible in all kinds of different places, trying to come up with this idea for God's gym. I was in the gym maybe last week, I think it was, and it came to me and it was just like, our spiritual faith and our walk with God is like the gym. You've got those people who know all the machines and they just walk around aimlessly, try them out, show off, but they don't really work out. They don't really continue to work themselves. Then you've got those people who actually just walk around aimlessly, go to the gym just so that they can be at the gym. They have no idea what they're doing there. They just went to the gym and they kind of walk around. You see them sitting down in the steam room, relaxing. Then they go out there, maybe grab a couple weights. They're just kind of testing the waters. Then there's the people who have no idea what they're doing, but they're really contrite, really trying to work out. You see them on the bench press and they're lifting it wrong, way wrong, and they've got like weights falling off here and there, but you see them just keep going, like they're pushing it, they keep on trying, and it seems to work out for them, I guess, in a way. They keep trying. You see them on other machines backwards. You have no idea how they're doing it, but they're on it backwards and they are working whatever muscle they're working, and you're just kind of like, wow, what just happened there? Now, it came to me that I wanted to liken our walk with God to that, to the gym. That we should strive to kind of be a combination of the person who knows all the machines and the person who doesn't know all the machines. Now, I know there are people at the gym, and this is what we're trying to strive to be, that literally they know all the machines, they work every machine, they're really hard-bodied, whatever, I don't know, they're working out all the time, and they know every machine, they do it all just right. Not everyone can be that perfect, but what we should strive to be is somewhere in between the person who knows all the machines but doesn't know what's going on, and the person who knows what's going on but doesn't really know the machines. That may be a little bit confusing, so let me emphasize. You should be in this. This thing right here is important. You should be reading the Word. This is like your warm-up at the gym. This is your, looking at the charts to see how much weight you should be lifting, or looking at the scale, standing on it just to see what your weight's at before you go to work out so you can get a goal. This is also your water bottle you bring with you so that you're hydrated the whole time. This is your gym clothes, your gym shoes. This is everything when it comes to God's gym. And God's gym is extremely important when it comes to just straight up living. You've got to take the Word with you everywhere. Even if you don't carry around a Bible, that's fine. Have some verses in your mind. Be thinking about them throughout the day. Maybe just read the Bible in the morning and then think about the verses throughout the day. Or if you're not that type of person, read it through the half of the day, or the end of the day, or all day long. It doesn't matter. You just got to be in it. You got to be in the Word, reading it. You got to be correcting yourself when you're doing things wrong too. And so today, I grabbed my Bible and my pen fell, so I picked it up, tossed open the Bible, threw my pen inside, and just walked away. Like, I'm going to take my Bible with me to work so I can do the video. And as I was walking away, I was thinking about it, that I had just thrown my pen in my Bible and I had no idea where I put it. And I was like, you know what? God, I pray that you had me put it in there for a reason, and heck, you gave me just the right thing. So my pen just so happened to fall right in the beginning of Titus. Okay, so today I'm going to go over Titus and kind of touch a little points and apply it to God's gym and what I think about it. Now, in Titus 1:15 through 16, you got this beautiful verse that I love to quote every once in a while, but it's, "Everything is pure to those whose hearts are pure, but nothing is pure to those who are corrupt and unbelieving, because their minds and consciences are corrupted," or consciences. Apologize, my words are being slurred. Such people claim they know God, but they deny Him by the way they live. They are detestable and disobedient, worthless for doing any good. Now, what I got from that, and where I'm applying it to God's gym, is that you have to live properly. This Titus was written from Paul, sending it to a guy named Titus, who was actually in Crete. And there was a lot of people in Crete that were sinful, and a lot of them were, even people that were Cretans were saying that everyone in Crete is a liar, just calling themselves a liar, kind of contradicting. But anyways, Crete was a big, sinful area at the time, and Paul planted Titus there, asking for him to build a church and train people for God. Now, the first part of this is important, but I'm going to touch on the second part first. So, it says that these people's minds are corrupted, their consciences are corrupted. And these people claim they know God, but they deny Him by the way they live. Just like the people in the gym who know all the machines, but hardly ever work out. They're the people that are there, and they're like trying to correct people on how to do the machine, but they don't even work it themselves. They just know how it works. So in your Christian walk of faith, that's the kind of people who they come up to you and like, "Hey man, I heard you last weekend and you were really foul-mouthed and you gotta watch your language." And then you see them next week and then they've got the same exact mouth. I know there's another verse, and I didn't look it up before this, probably should have, but it's take the plank out of your eye before you take the speck out of someone else's eye. And I know that's paraphrasing, but you get the point that that's the guy who is not showing he's Christian by the way he lives. He's not living to be a Christian. He's just calling himself a Christian. He's trying to claim that salvation and everlasting life afterwards in heaven, but he's not really living it. He's not living for God. Now, in Titus 2:1 through 2, it goes along the same lines of living properly, and he's telling Titus, Paul's telling Titus, look, you got to promote proper, living. You got to teach your men to be men and teach your women to be women of God, both of them of God, and to be different. So it says, as for you, Titus, promote the kind of living that reflects wholesome teaching. Teach the older men to exercise self-control, to be worthy of respect, and to live wisely. They must have sound faith and be filled with love and patience. Now, when you think about it, if you compare that to everyday life, someone who has love and patience, they're sound in their faith, they have self-control, they're worthy of respect, and they live wisely. You really think that's what a Christian should be. That's what someone who is believing and living for God, that's what they should be. And that's what Paul's telling them. He's saying, look, you got to build your elders, you got to build your young people even. When it comes down to chapter 2, verse 6 through 8, it says, in the same way, encourage the young men to live wisely. And you yourself must be an example for them by doing good works of every kind. Let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. Teach the truth so that your teaching can't be criticized. Then those who oppose us will be ashamed and have nothing bad to say about us. I think that last part right there is extremely important. And I'm just going to go back to my metaphor of the gym. There are people in the gym who do that working out thing, They just go work out. They're horrible at it, but they do it. They strictly go to work out, and then there's the other people that know all the machines and just are criticizing and yelling and, hey, you don't know what you're doing. Well, I'm going to liken those people who are just criticizing to sinners, or I think the biblical term is Gentiles, right? The people who aren't following God's plan and God's will and aren't living in the love that God has for them. And they're just talking bad about you. But if you're living right, if you're living for God, you are using those machines properly and using them frequently, your life reflects God. You're a mirror. And when they look at that mirror, they're like, wow, you're a really great person. That's what the worldly way to say it is. You're a really great person. But to us, so we're living right for God. Then those who oppose us will be ashamed and have nothing bad to say about us. It's self-explanatory. It's explicative in just the right way it needs to be, that if you're living for God and you're living the right way, no one is going to be able to say bad things about you and your walk with God unless they're just pulling stuff out of their rear. If you're shooting the wind, you're not going to hit it. If they're just shooting insults at you and they're empty insults and you are really living for God, it doesn't matter. And you're going to show them that God is better than just being sinful. And that in and of itself is a witnessing act. I'm going to keep moving forward from that right into witnessing. And why not live for God? Why should you not? I don't see any reason why you shouldn't live for God. But here's a reason why. It says in Titus 2:14 that He gave His life to free us from every kind of sin, to cleanse us, and to make His very own people totally committed to doing good deeds. I know this is the same thing that everyone always, He died for you, so why not live for Him? Well, it's true. He gave His life to free us from every kind of sin. So why don't you do it? He literally went and died so that you can live eternally for Him. And He made it possible. Your human self, you can't, without God, live a good life. There's going to be sins. If it's pride, if it's gluttony, if it's anger, just straight up, you have a sailor's mouth, or just, there's going to be sin. There's going to be sin in your life. And without God and Him dying for you, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to live right and righteously. But the fact that He died for you, the fact that He died for us, it just shows so much more reason for living for Him. It's worth it. He gave His life to free us from every kind of sin, to cleanse us and make us our very own people, totally committed to doing good deeds. And He gave you the gym. He gave you the equipment and the instructions for all of it and said, go do it. Why don't you do it? Now, I'm not saying that you can be perfect. Nobody's perfect. We're humans. Nobody is perfect. But within that, you have to attempt and try your hardest to live for God and be righteous. Now, in Titus 3:3, it says, once we too were foolish and disobedient. We were misled and became slaves to many lusts and pleasures. Our lives were full of evil and envy, and we hated each other. At one point, you were the guy at the gym saying, you suck. You have no idea what you're doing. This is how you should do it. And then you went and did it wrong anyways because you didn't care. You were that person yelling at the other guy saying, you are horrible at what you're doing. You were criticizing and hating on them. And maybe now you're not that person. Now you are a godly person living for Him in correct ways. Why don't you tell other people? That's where witnessing comes into play. We once were where they are. We once were sinners. As a matter of fact, we still are sinners. We're still filthy rags. But we're saved because of Him. Because we give our lives to Him. Because we ask for forgiveness and live in His grace. So why not bring other people? Why not live in God's gym and say, look, man, come over to this gym. Come to where I'm working out. This place is awesome. You know, we've got this, we've got that. And then we have everlasting life after you die. They're like, what? Yeah, you know, when you die, you go to heaven. You have a house made of gold. You have everything you need. There's no sadness, no crying, nothing. You are happy and content and living with our Creator. The guy who made you, He literally took the sinews and put you together. And you're going to live with Him. Come on, that's a good deal. And it's free. And this is where I'm going to stop this one video for now, but I'm going to just emphasize that you guys, I'm going to go over it one more time, and I'm going to emphasize that you guys live in God's gym and work for Him. Work hard at it. Now, I went over Titus and talked about how, you know, to the pure, all things are pure. And that's just a paraphrase. But to the pure, all things are pure. And then those other people who are not pure, not living for God, they're corrupted. You know, they have evil inside them. They're living sinful lives. And they claim they know God, but they don't. Don't be that person. Don't claim you know God and not know Him. It's lovely to know God. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. Don't be that person who thinks that you know God and don't. Go to the gym. Work out for Him. And also went over how you have to promote good living, you know, living properly for God. And when Paul tells Titus, he says, look, teach your old men, exercise self-control, be worthy of respect, and to live wisely. They have to be sound in faith and filled with love and patience. And young men, live wisely. And you yourself be example to them in doing good works of every kind. Let everything you do reflect the integrity and seriousness of your teaching. He also talks about older women and younger women in here. I didn't touch on it, but I'll read the verses. He says, similarly, teach the older women to live in a way that honors God. They must not slander others or be heavy drinkers. Instead, they should teach others what is good. These older women must train the younger women to love their husbands and their children, to live wisely and be pure, to work in their homes and do good, and to be submissive to their husbands. Then they will not bring shame to the word of God. Now, I didn't emphasize on this, so I'm going to emphasize real quick before I finish up. He's saying that you women, you older women, live honorably just like men. Live for God just like men. And respect your husbands. And then on top of that, teach your younger women to do the same thing, and teach your younger women to live for their husbands as well as God. Live to love their husbands and cherish them. Well, that's part of life, you know. And husbands, same thing. Cherish your wife. Live for God and live for, you know, glorifying Him in your marriage. Now, I also talked about how we too were in that position. We were sinning at one time. Don't be that person who is just living for God and doesn't like to tell anyone about it, because that's not living for God. If you're living for God, you recognize that you were a sinner once too. And you tell other people who are sinning now that, look, God is better than that. God will deliver you from your sins, just like he delivered his people out of Egypt. I know that's kind of like one of those allusions to a verse I didn't read, but I'll touch on that at a later time, I guess. Go with God. Again, I'm Rene Antoine Mondo, and thank you for listening. I appreciate it.